Welcome to this web lecture about the use of natural language in computing. We know natural language in computing from science fiction movies, where it is common, and we dream of interacting with the computers using natural language, but alas, it's not yet realistic for general purpose applications. The main reason is that people make use of implied context when they give a command. When Captain Kirk tells the replicator, coffee, black, he doesn't just instruct the machine to generate black coffee, but he actually means, produce me first a cup, and then I want black coffee and I want it hot. He's not saying that. It should be clear from the context of wanting to drink hot coffee that this command is enough for the machine to know what to do. But there's another problem as well, that is that when we're not giving such clear commands, but just saying something, word separation is a problem. There are many voices, accents, and dialects, and differences between not only the voices and the dialects, but differences also between languages mean that in some cases words are easy to separate and sometimes it is difficult. When we use natural language in a written environment, it is a lot easier than when we give spoken commands. Word separation is no longer a problem. Natural language already works in specific application areas. So when the computer knows that there's only a number of commands you can be issuing, and the vocabulary to be expected is also limited. When I say pay to Safeway on 3/24, say it's written language, and that must be clearly a date. And then I have a number that follows a $sign. This must be the amount. This command is easy to understand. Or even shorter, June 10, $33 to Michael. The computers can understand such commands easily. Show me all the payments to Mike's auto body. All commands that current technology in natural language interaction can be done using computers. Natural language is also often used in question asking and answering. And it works in specific application areas. What is the capital of Zambia? That's a fairly clear, unambiguous question. How many legs does a centipede have? We know what the answer should be. Well, we may not know the actual answer, but we know that the answer to this question is a number. When you ask this question to Google, the answer is a list of websites, because everything you ask to Google results in a list of websites. And in fact, you will be guided towards a website that will explain that the centipedes generally do not have 100 legs. The natural language questioning fails when the application area is completely unknown, but there again, successes are beginning to appear, and an IBM computer, Watson, won the Jeopardy quiz in 2011 already. So we're getting there, but we're not quite there yet. Something that really helps is redundancy. When you ask a question, not everything needs to be understood for the computer to answer your question. One of my unfortunately deceased friends is Ted Kowalski, who lives on Central Drive, or lived on Central Drive in Murray Hill, New Jersey. So if I ask her, what's the number for Ted in Central... So if the question is hard to understand, but a few bits is enough, because the question that I'm trying to ask, what is the number for Ted Kowalski on Central Drive in Murray Hill, New Jersey, there is a lot of redundancy there. And the computer can make use of that to try to distinguish enough of the natural language to be able to answer the question. So we use natural language, for instance, in text database searches, using keyword search or short questions like the centipede legs. The system can ignore most of the grammar. Just like in the creation of computer commands, we don't use grammar. In understanding natural language, very often we don't need to know whether something was future tense or past tense to answer the question. We can ignore very frequent words. The, of, in, they're used in almost every question. Just ignore them. That reduces the number of words we have to look at. But we do have to support binary combinations and, or, and not. And then we can answer questions. But natural language is used in other applications as well, for instance, in translation or translating sentences and statements into database operations. So we go from unstructured information, natural language, to structured information into the database. We can also translate questions into database queries, like show me all the payments to Michael. And we can classify documents based on the content by analyzing the text used in the documents. We can also do text summarization, so you can order the computer to give you a short version of today's news, and it can summarize the longer news articles into short summaries. But now we're deviating from natural language to issue commands to the computer. Natural language is also used to generate text, to give us feedback from the computer. This works well also again in specific application areas. A computer-generated weather report or information we get at a train station or an airport about the arrival or departure of flights and possible delays and gate announcements. Right? Computers can generate the required natural language, right, and come up with grammatically good sentences. Generating a naturally sounding voice can still be a bit of a problem, but that's often circumvented by having people actually enter all the spoken words into a database so that the computer can use them. Adventure games, instructional systems can also use natural language to create a simulated dialogue using either generated or predefined canned responses between the player and the computer. Can also be used in learning applications to have a simulated dialogue between a tutor and a student. Natural language processing has a very nice application to check how good the technology is evolving, and this is done using the Turing test, the subject of the Loebner Prize, where a computer, not using spoken commands, right? It's all done with written questions and answers, but the computer is trying to have a conversation with a human subject, and judges have to judge whether it is a computer on the other side or whether there is a person on the other side. So they're trying to mimic the human. This is actually more tricky than you would think. If the test subject asks the opponent, what is, say, 234 times 5,627? The correct response from the opponent would be something like, you don't seriously expect me to answer that right away. And it should not be the answer, because then the computer gives away that it's a computer. So this is still futuristic, but hopefully we get there somewhere. In your assignment, all your messages that you are going to give to the users will be canned messages that you have written, and hopefully they will be sufficiently clear, factual, and maybe a bit entertaining. Thank you for participating.